Hello, thank you for joining RasPipKr tutorials. I'm Martin Parker, and in this video I'm going to be bringing in some inputs into my GPIOs to trigger my zones, or to bring my relays on to actually bring the lights on if there's movement via my external sensors of my house. So let's get the Python shell on and bring up our script and make that full screen. So in here I'm going to add in my GPIO input pin. I've just noticed something that I didn't need to do in the previous video. I've put this line in here. When you're doing the setup, you can actually set an initial value, so I don't know why I missed doing that earlier, sorry, on the other video. So I'm just going to comment that out, and then after you've set it to the out, I can have an initial as GPIO.high. So that's effectively doing what the line's doing. So I could have left it there, but you know, that just as one line it's a little bit better. Right, so here I'm going to put in my input, and this will be a set up, and this will be, I've got it on, I've prepared a jumper wire plugged in onto the board GPIO pin 40, which is BCM, because we're working with the BCM numbers. This is BCM 21. So I'll put that there, and this is going to be a GPIO.in. And what we want to do is we want to have it set so that when it goes low, it will trigger. So we're going to set the pull up on this. So this will be pull up, down equals GPIO.pull up, down underscore up. Okay, so that's using its internal resistors, just for extra. The way that the external sensors that I have, they are a 12 volt passive, because effectively for an alarm system or a lighting system that I do have, and what I'll need to do is, I don't have any transistors to play around with, and I'm not bothered about getting hold of some, but what I can do is using resistors, and then effectively I'm adjusting the voltage via my resistor values. So I will have the pin 21 in between a resistor, giving it a 3.3 volts or nearest damn it sort of thing, 3 volts. So it's going to be showing as high. So when the sensor is triggered, it will go to low, giving us the trigger to affect our script. Sorry. So the GPIO is set. What I'm going to do is I'm going to stop, because the temperature is it's quite warm at the moment, so rather than having it as 24, it's going to stop the heating trying to come on. So I'm just going to put that down to 20 for now. So just like I have here, I've got these threads running for the temperature sensors. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have another thread that will run this function, and this will be called PIR1 thread. If I could spell it. Right, so PIR1 thread. Basically, this will be a loop, so this will be continuing, so while true. And because it's going to be constantly running, I'm just going to relax it a little. So just like I have in the other threads above, I have a time dot sleep, and I'm going to have 0.2 of a second. And then what I want to do is I want to check if GPIO.input pin 21, BCM 21 I should say, is equals to false. So that means it's going to ground. And if that is the case, I want to trigger GPIO output, and my zone 1 relay is on BCM pin 6, and I want that to be GPIO.low because it needs to go low to trigger the relay. And then here I'm going to put an else, and this will be output pin 6. This will be GPIO.high. Okay, so that's there. So what we'll do is we'll just run this script for now and make sure that triggers the relay. So let's, oops, I haven't started my thread. So I'm just going to go down to the bottom of my script, otherwise nothing would have happened. And just like I've got my temperature sensor threads running here, I'm just going to set my other one going here, and I called the function PIR1 thread, so this will be a thread called PIR1, and this will be a threading.thread, and the target we're going to is PIR1 thread. Okay, so PIR1 dot start, so that will get running, and it will now, so I can run my script. And that was the relay just clearing itself because I had the heating in the previous take that I had done when I messed it up. Right, so what I'll do is I will bring my trusty webcam on. There is a 7-second delay, so even though the script is running now, the webcam will come on. There we go. And I have got it positioned so that you can see stuff, so I'm just going to shrink it down a little. I'll put that there. Right, so in this picture, there's my jumper wire that I've got onto pin 21 BCM, or pin 40 on the board, or however you want it. And that pin that you can just see there is pin 39, which is a ground pin. Excuse me. So pin 6 is there on the board, and there is the relay light for relay 1, 2 and 3 and 4. So when I short that wire onto that pin, that should light up. So bearing in mind there is a about a 7-second gap, so I'm going to connect on to it now. So you should have heard the relay turning on. So I'll just hold that until it shows on screen. There we go. And then I'm going to release, and then you should hear the relay disengage, like so. And then in a few seconds, there we go. Right, so we've got our, effectively we've got our sensor triggering the relay as it is. But when I go into the the security menu, and I trigger, because it's already in the auto mode, so I can turn on the other ones. Yep. But if I trigger this, you heard it go on and then straight back off, and that's because we've got that threading, and in the script if it's not seeing that short, it's going to turn itself off. So what I need to do here is look at these values. So I'm just going to stop that a second. And what I mean by that is, if I go to zone 1 change, we're using the zone 1 default, which we are importing from our settings Python script, if you like, where we've got our buttons list, etc. So what I want to do is I want to utilize that index number which we're using as here for what button, effectively, whether it's in an off position, auto, or an on position. So you'll see what I mean in a second. So in here, that thread is checking all the time. If it's shorted out to ground, it will bring the light on. Sorry, trigger the relay. But when we're not shorting it to ground, it's going to go into the high position. So when we turn the actual zone light on as we want it, it's coming on and it's going straight back off because of that slight delay that we've got running here. So what I need to do here is check the state of that zone 1 default, and the best way I can do that, I can't really put it into here, so I'm going to have to put it in as a separate if statement. So if zone 1 default equals 1, then we want to do this, because this is our auto mode. And what I will do is, because I want the light to come on when it's dark, I will add into here an AND statement, so that if I'm not sure if I want to do it by a GPIO, so I might do it by you know, when you're watching weather on TV, BBC News or whatever, and it mentions about the sunrise and sunset times, what I might do is actually get that information and go by that, or I can have it set to a certain time rather than having, because each passive has its own light sensor built into it. So what it does is it has another trigger which goes to ground, so that would mean that I would need an extra, well, because I've already got 4 zones, movement GPIOs will be in use, then I'd need another 4 for my light check for them zones. So that's why I might stay away from having it set via a GPIO for the if it's dark enough or not. So anyhow, let's get this running and make sure that this works. And that's because I don't have the main thread running, so don't worry about that. So I'll just move this over, move that over. Right, so so I've still got that 7-second delay. So I'm going to go into the security menu. So if I turn on the light on, in a couple of seconds you should see it come on, like so. If I turn it off, obviously it's going to go off, and my Pi is rather busy, so my temperature is, I do have a heat sink on there, but when I'm doing this webcam, maybe I should have a little fan blowing over it. Well, anyhow, it's gone out there, so I can turn these other ones on and you should see them come on in a couple of seconds. But whilst it's in the off position, I'm going to short out pin 21 to ground, and you didn't hear a relay click, so that's good. So I can release that now, and on camera you should see that there the relay didn't come on, so that's good. So if I turn that into, it's timed out, into the auto position, now it's come on. So that's correct. In a couple of seconds you should see my hand come in and the relay come on, like so. And then I'm going to remove that link, and in a few seconds I'll just turn these off. And there we go, the relay's gone off, and then the other ones will disappear off in a second. So that is working super duper. Have we checked it in the on position? I think so. I can't remember. But basically I've turned on the relay, and then I'm going to short out onto the ground for that link, and nothing's happening. So that is effectively our external passive working the actual zone to trigger the lights, basically, because that's going to have a 240 volt mains put into that relay, and the relay can take it as well. So that is it for this video. Everything's going smoothly so far. I'm just going to stop my camera. Yeah, that's good. So in the next video I'm going to put all these in together and sort out my other GPIOs for my inputs, and I'll put them into a list like I've got here for my passives, so I can have them all set in one go. Okay, so that's it for this video, and I will catch you in the next one.